Hey guys, welcome on back into the channel. I am Faith, of course, the Divine Faith, and we are looking at another celebrity chart reading. This is going to be a couple. I know the screen right now is on the Bieber, Justin Bieber, but I will not be doing like his chart individually speaking, like dissecting, not necessarily the whole thing, but I won't be deep diving into his chart at this particular moment because I'm going to be taking a look at his composite energy with his wife, Hailey Baldwin. Okay. Now, I don't remember if this has been suggested, maybe not. I do know one of you guys actually did suggest Hilaria, I don't know what name she's using this week, and Alec Baldwin. That has been suggested, which I will actually do that one. It probably will be after this one. We're just going to continue along this streak of Baldwin energy, okay? But yeah, I'm going to take a look at these two. If you haven't heard the most recent news, I think it came out confirmed yesterday, but it was rumored maybe about a month back that Justin Bieber was pretty much shopping around to get the best offer for his entire catalog as well as publishing rights. So he found someone who is paying him $200 million for his entire catalog. In my opinion, maybe this is just me, I think that number is too low. But that's just me, considering the fact that Justin Bieber is so young. I mean, if we're gonna, he may have already hit his prime, but he hasn't went through his Saturn return yet. So who's to say if he doesn't turn around and all of a sudden he has another burst of hits in him? Then what you're going to do at that point? Because I think even possibly going forward, the new music that he may possibly put out could also belong to the company that is paying him $200 million. So in my opinion, I honestly think it was the best decision. Now, maybe he should have waited like Tina Turner and who's the guy? I forgot. I don't know. I think it's Steven something. I could be wrong, but Tina Turner sold her publishing and stuff like that for a pretty nice number. And there was another person who sold their publishing and catalog for like 550 million. But that was at the end of their career. That's how you cash in. It's literally like, in a way, he just got started. But I guess in a way, when it pertains to music, you only have like, a hop and a jump before you are moved out of the way and somebody else comes in. But, I think the figure is too low, but that's just me, especially considering what he has to give up. It is a little low to me. But either way, so as you can see, we have Justin Bieber's chart. The birth time is good. Now, when it comes to Hailey Baldwin Bieber, as you can see, we do not have a birth time for her. So I just had to wing it on this one when it pertained to the composite chart. Now, of course, we're going to take a look at the days that they were born. So we have like double sun energy in a way here because Hailey was born on the 22nd. Okay. And so, breaking it down in terms of numerology, we know, 2 and 2 is 4. 4 is tied to the energy of the sun. Okay. So we see that she has sun in Sagittarius. Okay. I can't tell what her sun is aspecting because, it looks like her sun is sitting right on top of her Pluto. But I believe sun Pluto aspects or conjunction bring some sort of power in some sort of way. With hers being in Sagittarius, that would kind of make sense. I mean, I believe Sagittarius energy is model, publishing, kind of like magazine and stuff like that. So bringing some sort of power in that type of regard or foreign territory. So likely the power that she would, have would be away from where she was born. And as you can see, he was born in Tucson, Arizona. So I don't know if, as soon as she moved to where she moved to, then it's just like poof, power. Okay. Anyway, so you got number 4, and then we see Justin was born on the 1st, which is also sun energy. 1 and 4 numerology is sun. Now, of course, in my numerology guide, they are the number 1 and number 4 are signified by different zodiac signs. But, like I said, in terms of numerology, it is 4. I mean, it is sun. Okay. So he has sun in Pisces, right? And she has sun in Sagittarius. So we know Pisces and Sagittarius both are very Jupiter ruled, right? So there may be, we may have possibly a couple that maybe lives in a fantasy world together. Maybe that is possibly what drew them, into one another's space, because they both in their own way may be quite delusional whenever it pertains to maybe the world, when it pertains to a lot of things. Okay. I mean, there may even be, with both of them being sun rule, both of them being in like Jupiter rule sun type of energy, maybe in some sort of way, because I can see the sun. Well, the sun is like celebrities or something like that, but maybe in some sort of manner, they're not really taken seriously. Okay. So, who knows? But oh, here's another thing too. I've talked about this in previous charts, how Jupiter, like Jupiter moon, okay, or Jupiter midhaven aspects can be really good whenever it pertains to getting favors, from the public. And as you can see, Justin Bieber has this. Now he does have Jupiter in Scorpio. So me personally, I see Jupiter in the 12th as somewhat of like a protector, maybe somewhat of like, maybe you're your own guardian angel. Like you get very, very close to the edge. You're about to jump off of the cliff and something pulls you back. Now, of course, the sign. So if Jupiter is at fall, it may be a little bit difficult, but we also know that, naturally speaking, the 12th house is normally like a Piscean thing. So, I see Jupiter being there in the 12th as a good thing. Even though I've seen some kind of like not really be on board with 12th house placements. But I would say maybe as I'm starting to learn a little bit more about the 12th house, depending on the planet there, I can see it actually being a good thing. Okay. But anyway, so, another thing too, the 12th is subconscious. So with him having 12th in Scorpio, I mean, wow, you really do not want to be inside his head. You actually may be shocked to know the thoughts or the feelings or the things that he thinks, whenever he's alone or he's just thinking, period. So this is like a zone that I feel like you may not necessarily want to be in. Now, even if he's in a relationship, he may hide kind of like maybe the dark thoughts or, thoughts that are not natural. And that could be, in any regard. But if he was to share this type of 12th house energy, his subconscious mind with other people, you might be scared. Like, wow, why do you think like that? You know, so troubled, honestly, it makes you think of like a troubled mind in some sort of regard. Okay. But anyway, so, like I said, that's his chart, and his sun. Oh, his sun is at the bottom of the chart. And not saying that's like a bad thing, but maybe in some sort of a way, maybe he doesn't necessarily feel seen. Like he feels seen, but he doesn't necessarily feel seen. And, so I go back to my original statement where I said maybe he hasn't necessarily hit a stride yet. He maybe possibly has, maybe, with his sun being at the bottom of his chart. Because, sun is ego, sun is power and stuff like that. So maybe in some sort of way he has hit his stride. So I don't know if Justin Bieber can pull another Justin Bieber, maybe in his 30s or his 40s. Okay, going into, he may possibly, he may try to revamp. He may try to do something when he possibly comes into his 40s, because in his 40s, he'll be going into like his sun rule type of energy. So it'll be like his sun in Pisces in the 3rd. I mean, he may even possibly end up relocating back home. And home for him would be Canada. He may possibly think about doing that, but he may do it in a manner of he's trying to get back to that creativity that he had whenever he was a child. Very creative phase. Look at this packed 3rd house. Okay. Now let's look at his sun degree. Woo. Let's take a look at his sun degree, which is on the 10th degree of Pisces. And, the 10th degree is a Capricorn degree. So we have, structures, we have authority. Okay. Honestly, I don't know if I think he went through a rebellious phase, but he may have definitely came from quite the structured environment. So, and it may not be structured like in a bad thing. It can simply just be, go to bed, do your homework. But then we have somebody, maybe he's easily influenced. So him getting outside or him growing older and, leaving behind kind of like this structured environment, you're going buck wild because maybe you're being easily influenced. Like I said, I can't tell if he has Sun Jupiter. I can't tell if he has Sun Pluto. It doesn't look like it. But either way, I'm going to look at his Sun degree when I find what I'm looking for. Okay, Sun 10 degrees Pisces. So this degree says liberty, freedom, look at that, restless, empathic, forensic study. So it's so interesting how I said I see him possibly being easily influenced or like trying to burst out. It reminds me of those kids that grow up in a nice neighborhood and they got the nerve to develop a persona like they were born in the hood, like they're about that life. And it's like, what are you doing? You're not even remotely close to this area. You literally probably live 30, 40 minutes from here, or maybe even 2 hours. Why are you in this particular section? But this is his want or possibly his thirst for freedom. But we could even possibly say this could cost him because his Piscean sun is also sitting opposite his Virgo Chiron or his wounded healer. This is what he needs to work on, health. So this burst of freedom, possibly, and we know Piscean nature, we know Pisces Neptune is what? Drugs, alcohol, so this could cost you, this, you don't have the room to be a guinea pig. You don't have the room to be experimental when it pertains to life because it's going to screw up your health pretty bad. And, I don't know if he has had surgery in another country to deal with some sort of serious health issue. But this may even possibly be something that he may have to deal with as he approaches his Saturn return. Because, of course, he has Saturn in Pisces. So he's about to come up on that time period with his Saturn in Pisces where, and it's not saying that he won't be able to be creative, okay? But it feels like his health is going to get in the way of his creativity. And I think his sun may be conjunct his Saturn. I don't know if they would call that a conjunction. It is in the same house. It's 7 degrees. It's a little bit, okay, maybe it's a little bit under 7 degrees. So we may take that one. So Saturn in 3 degrees. So let's take a look. And of course, we know the third house is what? Communication. It's our, it's driving, literal driving, transportation. It's our mentality. It's our community. The third house is, we know, writing. It is younger siblings. Okay, the third house so much because, it's kind of like Gemini stuff. What else is in the third house? Actually, let me take a look. Where is it? Communication, marketing, social media, sale. And it's so interesting how he ended up selling his entire catalog right before he goes through his Saturn return. And literally the third house is about sales. So that's so interesting. Okay. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he's already going into that period where his health is possibly deteriorating. So again, like I said, I may be absolutely, incorrect in a manner in terms of, like I said, him not reaching his peak yet. It almost comes across like he's preparing for something because, possibly right now. But I would say that may be his main focus, or that possibly should be his main focus going into his Saturn return. So this may not necessarily be the only thing that he is going to sell. I'm not sure if he has shares in like an energy drink company or something of that magnitude. He may sell that as well. Because like I said, this feels like someone that as they're approaching this particular point in time, their health is, maybe his health is getting worse. But remember what I said, the freedom that you want is going to cost you. So it's almost just like the freedom that he was pushing to get, or the freedom that he was getting, you threw your body into the gauntlet. And how can your body possibly recover? Because also his Saturn is squaring his Scorpio ascendant. And it looks like his Scorpio and his Pluto is sitting right on top of his ascendant. Well, maybe unexpected change could possibly be happening. Maybe. But here's another thing as well. Because we know Pluto is generational, right? So to me, going back maybe to the beginning, and I said I wasn't even going to be reading his chart. Look at me being a hypocrite. But anyway, to me, going back to the beginning, with Pluto being generational and his Saturn, which we know Saturn is destiny to me. North Node is purpose. Looks like his North Node is actually sitting in the 12th house. Okay. Remember I said his mind. We may have somebody that may possibly lose their mind maybe sooner than they're supposed to. But remember what I said, when you do certain things to your body, it's going to cost you. If you don't know how to properly recover, if you don't know how to say no, if you don't necessarily know how to, it's going to cost you. And I think we may be looking at that. So, wow, that's unfortunate. So, anyway, with his Saturn making a square to his Scorpio ascendant, or it looks like also his Pluto, whichever one it is, looks like it's making two aspects. Either way, there was not room for anybody else pretty much in Justin Bieber's generation to outshine Justin Bieber. But I think this was implemented by the machine, by the people behind him. Like, get out the way. Nobody. It's almost like saying nobody else is allowed to come into this space and be better than Justin Bieber, because that's what we're putting all our money on. So we may have somebody where, like I said, the machine, or there's a lot of money put into this young man because you're supposed to be X, Y, and Z of the generation. There won't be room for anybody else. Even if they are more talented than you, it doesn't matter. We will pay to move those people out of the way so the focus can only be on him. And you know how that goes. It's favoritism. But he has kind of like the aspect in the manner. Because look, his Jupiter is making a positive aspect to his midhaven, which is, public. So the golden boy, the golden child, the favoritism. Like I said, even if somebody was more talented than him, let's take a look at his Scorpio. And look at this. Scorpio ascendant, 29 degrees, karmic. Okay. So, and we know Scorpio is all about that change. We know Scorpio is tied to death. Doesn't have to be literal death, spiritual, metaphysical. Scorpio is that. Okay. It's also, Scorpio actually rules doctors. So remember what I said. And look, it looks like his ascendant and his Pluto is making a square to his Chiron. Already in this chart, we can have somebody who's going to deal with health issues. But again, like I said, I really do feel it's because of his own doing. Okay. And remember I said, I feel like Justin Bieber is easily influenced. I stand by that as well. Because if you are jeopardizing your body, or you're jeopardizing, you only get one body, you're not going to be able to get another one. But this feels like, and again, remember I said with his Pisces sun, I'm not saying all Pisces are like this, but to me, it gives me this energy where this is somebody who is just quite delusional in a manner of, how I'm saying you only get one body. He may be like, I can buy another one, or somebody could do something that's going to give me another body. But then you get in that office and the doctor is just like, well, unfortunately, your body is shutting down and there's not really much we could do. Now, the burst of reality, and I think that, I mean, honestly, maybe Justin Bieber Saturn return is going to be that jolt burst of reality. Hailey Bieber won't be hitting her Saturn return until after him, I think. Let me look. If she have, I can't tell if she has Pisces or Saturn late degree or early Aries. Let me see. Yeah, okay. Yeah, she won't be hitting her Saturn return till after he goes through his. Because she's at 0 degrees Saturn, and her Saturn is retrograde. Okay, already off of the rip. She probably has issues with her father and his authority. But it feels that his authority is somewhat possibly unfair in a way to her. But it may be that type of authority where he is just controlling every aspect of her life. You're going to marry this person. You're going to wear that outfit. You're going to wear your hair like this. So we actually may have two people who are trying to escape their upbringing. We have two people who are trying to, escape their environment, and then they run right into each other. But it almost feels like you're too much alike. Where's the balance, But anyway, so let's take a look. Oh, I meant to read the 29th degree of Scorpio because that's his ascendant. And I'm focusing quite a bit on his chart because we do have the birth time, whereas hers is, But anyway, Scorpio 29 is, hold on. It is powerful, a guiding influencer, drastic changes, attraction, position of trust. All the things that I already said. There is no room for anybody else to be better or be in Justin Bieber's lane because that is the way they positioned it to be. And any type of threat to that, you will be handled accordingly. Now, what way that is, I don't know. But let's take a look at their composite chart. Okay. So you see, oh, and by the way, Justin carries that Capricorn energy as well, whereas Hailey carries that Aries energy. Can you imagine? So here's why I say he's very structured. He may even possibly be he might be more traditional than we speak, but that's upbringing. But there was a period of time where it would probably be and honestly, he may go through the same period of time again. I really hope not. But it would be he may go through this in his 50s. And by that point, it may be too late. I hope not. But it would have been his early years, school age years. That's where it really started to anyway. Here we go. So this is their composite chart. Okay, this is their relationship in practice. We're going to call it that. This is their relationship in practice, okay? Or marriage, excuse me, because they are married. Okay, so they have Midhaven in Libra. So we know Libra is beauty. Libra is the arts. Oh, I think Libra may be modeling. But I still feel like Sagittarius, to me, may possibly be more, maybe Sagittarius is more modeling than Libra. Because Sagittarius is how you get published. Sagittarius is like the magazines. It's like Vogue and stuff like that, But we could do both, Anyway, so look at this. Their Capricorn is on their first house. So how they are as a couple, and I think this would be how others see them, is we have first house Capricorn. So actually, let me make sure. Yes, how you are as a couple. Okay, so they have Jupiter in the 12th. Yeah, remember how I said I kind of got that feeling that these two are trying to escape in a manner, trying to search for freedom outside of their, environment, their maybe childhood or something like that. So in some sort of a way, they protect each other, even if we don't necessarily understand it. I mean, you can still protect one another and be friends. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to turn into, full-blown marriage. However, this may work for them. Okay. But anyway, and they have, wow, their first house is packed. So it looks like Venus, Mercury, the Sun, Neptune, and Uranus. Okay? So how they are as a couple. Now, oh, guys, these two were put together, in my opinion. It doesn't come across to me like they just found each other in a hopeless place. Okay? But it feels that they were put together by somebody maybe in their circle, like literally, like it's like it comes across the way that they would put couples together in the royal family. It's like, okay, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna have a meeting, we're gonna talk about how you guys are going to get married. And yeah, that's the type of vibe that I get from these two, because like I said, Capricorn is about that structural type of thing. It's order to me. I can see Capricorn or Saturn being order. Okay. We also know it's time. I hate to say it. This feels like the result of grooming. I don't know when they started their relationship, but a part of me feels one of them may have been underage. However, like I said, we have a structure here in their particular situation where somebody in their group, family, whoever it is, they may see that as being okay. They may go back to very old, medieval, maybe before Christ, type of dynamics where it's just like, okay, whenever you hit 12, you're going to be promised to this boy, man in the next village who is 18, 19, 20, who knows, or maybe later. Okay. But that's how it feels. It feels like it maybe was a meeting of the minds and they're just like, look, we're coming together because we feel that this will be a good match and is going to do X, Y, and Z for you and for them. It's very old school to me. Okay. But anyway, so their Saturn, which will be their first house lord, is in Pisces in the second house. So we know second, and actually the Pisces Saturn is, almost going into the third. So it's pretty close, but we're just going to take it as the second. Okay. But we know the second house is our money, finances. Okay. We know it's our possessions. I don't know if maybe the second house is interest. Maybe it is. I believe one's credit, your credit is seen by the third house. Fun fact for you. But moving on. Even though their second house is in Aquarius, their Pisces, Saturn is in the second house, but either way. So there may be some sort of restriction or maybe even possibly some sort of a halt. It almost feels like a dowry. And I know that may sound crazy, but that's what it almost feels like, that, like a dowry or something like that paid or something of that magnitude when it pertains to this particular connection. Okay. Like money is exchanging hands, and you look at it, the Saturn is making an aspect to Jupiter in the 12th. But anyway, so their first house lord in terms of how they are as a couple is in the second house, which is what? The house of money. So what did I say? I said I have a feeling that I feel like these two were put together. Like, dowry was paid, sit down, very traditional. Like, okay, I'm going to let you know. You're going to let somebody know at 13 years old that you're going to marry this guy whenever, you get to 18, but you've already been spoken for. So even at that point, you could already be hanging out with this person, and the child may know, the child may not know why they're hanging out with this person already. And they're only like 13, 14 years old, but it's all a part of the plan. Okay. So let's take a look at their Pisces Saturn, and it's on 17 degrees. We know the 17th degree is Leo. of course. But the 17th degree, based off of, what I've read, 5, 17, 29 are energetic degrees where you could get fame, recognition. Now, 5 degrees is like 5 minutes of fame, whereas the 17th degree, that's fame that is, created over time. It's going to take you some time to get into that 17th degree of, and fame doesn't mean boom, you blow up. It can be as simple as your community, where you're known in your community. Okay. It doesn't have to be you're being posted all over the world from, California to Istanbul or Ibiza. And nobody's saying that. It can simply just be in your community, even if your community is of 1,000 people. It looks like you got some sort of fame or recognition in your group of 1,000. Okay. But anyway, so let's take a look at the 17th degree of Pisces. Now that is a degree of, look at this, catastrophe, broken career in foreign land, headstrong outdoor sports. Remember I said restriction with the Saturn energy. So we have, somebody's finances may literally tank in this particular relationship based off of how they are as a couple. But it may not be because of some unforeseen circumstance. This simply could be you're burning through money. Money is slipping through your hands. Like you feel like it is going to fall out of the sky, indisposable, disposable, whatever you want to label it as. You're not taking care of your possessions. That's why I said I wouldn't be surprised if more things are sold because these two may run through money. Why they would do that, I don't know. Okay. But it almost feels like something could possibly be taken away from them in regards to their relationship. And it could be in regards to, like, literally financially speaking, possession. But, well, maybe freedom. Maybe freedom gets taken away in some sort of regard. Remember I said that he may move back to Canada, and you see their Pisces is on a degree of broken career in a foreign land. I don't know if he's possibly going to try to make that move thinking that he's going to be able to go back to what it once was. I'm not saying that he can't, but in terms of a relationship, I just don't know if that would work. Okay. Anyway, let's see. Okay. So we'll look at some more things. Oh, hidden feelings. Okay. So, before I get oddly enough, I really don't think these two really have sex. I'm just not, I don't know. I don't know if I'm really getting that. Okay. But either way, it's like, and I'm not saying they don't, but it feels like it may be uncomfortable. And not in that way you're possibly thinking, but uncomfortable, like, emotionally uncomfortable. Like you're not necessarily feeling 100% comfortable, safe with your body in the hands of the other person. I don't know why. Anywho, what'd I say? Hidden feelings. So they have the 12th house in Sagittarius. Okay. And they have Jupiter there. So they have Jupiter at home in Sagittarius. To me, it comes across that these two have an understanding. And the understanding feels like, coming in, being like, look, I'm going to protect you from these mean people. I hate to say it, guys. I really do feel like one of these individuals' families, like, sold them. Okay. Sold them. And so maybe in some sort of a way, one of them comes in to protect the other person, kind of just like, I'm not going to let you be sold to that nasty old man or that nasty old woman. I'm not going to do it. But it comes across in a manner where there may have even possibly been some sort of deal on the table, maybe, when it comes to maybe who somebody else is supposed to be married to, and something interjects. So then they're just like, oh, so since you don't want it to happen this way, since you don't want them to be married to this old, disgusting man or woman, you have to pay us more than what they're going to give us. This sucks. This feels to me like a relationship where somebody was put up for sale, like they're cattle or something, allegedly. Again, I should have said this before. Everything that I say in this video is all alleged. I don't know these people, and you could just say, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, because it's possible I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay? Yeah, moving on. That's sad. So in some sort of regard, I would say that these two also don't have the support of the public. They may be in their own little world. They may be closing themselves off from the world because the world, A, doesn't want them to be together, in my opinion. I mean, they don't have the supportive aspect of Jupiter Midheaven or Jupiter Moon. And I'm not saying that it doesn't mean the relationship can't work. It's just the support is not there. Like, they are not supported as a couple. And that's gotta feel very isolating. So I feel like these two isolate themselves because it's almost like only we know the truth. Only we know what's going on here. It feels the public needs to give these two a break. They need to be more understanding, seriously, because whoever did it, whoever it was that saved the other person from some sort of bad something, it's like, cut them some slack. Okay, now I don't know how long this is gonna, last. I don't know. But I feel these two have an understanding of one another. Like, look, I'm here to help. It feels more so like a friend. Oh, maybe. It feels more so like a friend to me. Like, you just have that friend where, you may have to stay at their house because you and your parents aren't getting along. Or shit, if you run away, your friend is just like, I got you, bro. You can stay here. That's what it feels like. Okay? And it could be one of those things where, maybe you start to grow to love them over time because you like, wow, you kind of saved my life in a way. Not saying you saved the life altogether, but this feels like a relationship where somebody needs to get clean or they both need to get clean and they're helping each other in some sort of a manner. But is it too late? Have you damaged your body that much, or have you damaged something too much where we don't know if we can get back to that? But so let's take a look at their Jupiter. Jupiter is at 15 degrees Sagittarius. So we have a degree of futile project, fruitless work, isn't that odd? I just talked about that. Fail of friends and fortune. Okay. So I talked about both of those things before I even looked at Sagittarius Jupiter, and we talked about their Pisces Saturn. Remember, I said they isolate themselves because friends don't necessarily and honestly, their friends may not even really want them together either. Or, because they may still have that small group of friends that see what I'm saying, but it's very, very, very small. Okay? Very small. Like, I'm talking about like 2 or 3. That's small. It kind of reminds me, you guys know I'm a Harry Potter fan. It reminds me of in the Deathly Hallows Part 2, whenever you got to the end and Voldemort killed Snape so that he can have full power over the Elder Wand, not realizing that he had to kill Draco, but that's for another day. But remember, he killed Snape, and then Harry jumped over there and he took his tears to the pensieve. Yeah. And he went back and he saw the whole story. And he went to the conversation that Dumbledore had with Snape. And Snape realized that Dumbledore had been breeding Harry just to die. And Snape was like, are you joking? So in a way, he ended up being his protector, even though Harry didn't see it at that particular time. That's the kind of vibe it gives me here. I know it's a roundabout way to say it, but yes. They have Moon in Cancer, which is good. Okay, so in terms of how they, process their emotions, it is warm. They process their emotions by being at home, possibly being in one another's space. Okay, there may be some sort of children or something like that. It's like a daycare. They may process their emotions by babysitting or doing very moon type of stuff. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, it almost feels like, if the money runs completely dry, it's over with. So it feels that it's somebody's duty, whoever it could be, to maintain the money, keep the money, because once the money is gone, whoever this institution is or whoever these people are, a person that put these two together, that somewhat, put this contract in place, they're going to pull the contract and the person is going to go to somebody else. Okay, so the length, I believe, of this relationship is seen by the fourth house. So they have the fourth house in Aries, and they have Mars and Sagittarius in the 11th house, of the 11th house of hopes, dreams, manifestations, honestly, but also 11th house can be blockages. How are you blocked? They're blocked in a way when it pertains to the media. It's so weird. It's almost like maybe in a way the media wants to maybe even pin them against one another when it comes to like fights. But that may not really be the case. I mean, hey, who the hell doesn't have heated conversations? Come on. But anywho, let's take a look at their Sagittarius Mars at the 3rd degree. Yeah. So the length and success of this relationship, from what I'm seeing here, it could really be the tabloids. May actually be why this isn't going to make it, honestly. But it may be something else. It could be a foreign person may interject, may become a blockage. I'm looking at, oh yeah, Sagittarius 3rd degree. Prudence, careful, daring, combat. Yeah. That's unfortunate. So I don't know if it's like a damsel in distress. Maybe not. Maybe that's not necessarily the word. But I talked about it before. I haven't really looked at Hailey's chart, but it almost feels that somebody here may lose their mind in a bad way. And then they're going to take it out on the other person, possibly physically. I hope not. Because even though the moon is at home in Cancer, we can't forget the moon is feelings, is emotions. Cancer moon, you're comfortable with your emotions, but it can be irate. Like, I believe Krishan has moon in Cancer. You see Krishan wrong. You see how the hell she is. That's what we're talking about. So Cancer moon, even though it's at home, it has its downsides. And look, it's also, I really hope that's not the case. I really do. Because then it turns into a situation where my protector turns into someone who's trying to hurt me. I mean, I really hope these two focus on their own inner healing, because that probably should have been done before they even got together. But to me, what I've seen in the chart, it does feel like it kind of comes across like they did really have a choice. Okay. Wow, this might be the saddest composite chart I've read. I mean, seriously, people should have compassion for these two. even though the general public doesn't really like, even the moon is squaring the midhaven. Another energy showing the general public ain't really rocking with them. But it's almost like if only you knew, Let's see. One more thing and then we'll be done. I'll be done. So we already talked about the 7th house, which their 7th house is in Cancer, and they have the 7th house Lord in Cancer. So I already called before where I said I feel like that these two are friends, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Okay. Let's see. Trying to see what else we can. How do they communicate? 3rd house. 3rd house is in Pisces, Jupiter. Another thing too, Pisces is spiritual, yes, but also very religious. So, they may like to go to church together. It's like they're trying to turn their lives over. Somebody's trying to, turn their life, give their life back to God. Ain't nothing wrong with it. And maybe this is the relationship where they can do that at. Anyway, but so I don't know if maybe they have like a pastor or something like that they go to for counseling. But honestly, that pastor may really just be after their money. So they may need to get somebody else to do it. Okay. One more thing. Their bond, which would be their 8th. So they have the 8th house in Leo. Their 8th house Lord is in Capricorn in the 1st house. So here we go. It's down here somewhere. Here we go. Composite. I mean, we'll have to see. They couldn't. Honestly, they could make it. But it's going to take a lot of work. This relationship can be very important. This is their 8th house Lord, which will be the sun, because Leo, sun, their 8th house Lord in the 1st. So this relationship can be very important to the both of them. It can be the main focus that they both have, for better or for worse, and they can identify strongly with the relationship. They can feel that they're capable of more together in the relationship than they are on their own. I like the sun in the 1st house. I really do, because it, especially, even though they say the sun in the 10th and the 7th is good for marriage, but maybe we can add the angles period for the sun, maybe, when it comes to marriage, because it's almost like literally taking your vows for real. Like when you say for better or for worse, damn it, I'm here. So that's why I said these two could possibly make it. But it's going to take a lot of work, like I said. So, and they may feel like they're capable of conquering the world together than they are separately. And I can see this even possibly being one of those placements as well, where, even if you drift apart, somehow, some way, you find, and then look, their sun and their moon are making an aspect. These two actually do, I feel, love each other, but it took some time to get there. But I do feel like that these two do love each other. So like I said, even if the two of them, and my opinion, I think they've probably possibly met before. Maybe they dated before. We didn't necessarily know. But either way, I can see this. I believe Sun, Moon, Sun, Neptune is love, actual love, maybe even unconditional in some sort of a manner if we're talking about the composite chart. So even if you drift apart, you always knew it was, how you have those people who they could end up getting married to other people, but then they somehow be like, later on, they're just like, I always knew that they were the one. I always knew that was my person. Even if they get married to 5 other people and they come back around to that person, it doesn't matter. I can see that kind of being maybe somewhat of like a reconciliation type of thing, because of the true feelings you have towards the other person. The upside of this placement is that the relationship is so important to the both of you, but the downside is you can get too caught up in the relationship, and you need to make sure you don't lose your individual identities. Okay. So honestly, the general public is not behind these two, but I am now. I am behind these two. I mean, I was never against them, but now they have my support because they need one another, in my opinion. Okay? This, out of all the composite charts I've read, this probably is the most genuine. Because think about it. Like I already said, even if it wasn't really about love to begin with, it was about friendship. It doesn't matter. Genuine friends. And how could you not love them? How could you not love them for that? Like, you saved my ass when I couldn't save myself. So all that hoopla boopla, possibly, that people were talking about when it pertains to Justin and Selena, let it go. Let it go. Because it feels like these two need each other. Honestly, I do hope these two make it. I really do. My mind, I mean, I wasn't really on one side, but it's good to see it, I feel like, in this particular format. Good for them. Okay. So guys, this has been the composite chart when it pertains to Justin Bieber and Hailey Baldwin. Good luck to these two. Okay. But see you later.